All right, for example number 2 on number 14, once again we're looking, we see that our a is greater than 1, and we don't have a greatest common factor in any of our coefficients because we have 5, which is a prime number, 22, and negative 48. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to list our a, b, and c. A is equal to 5, b is equal to 22, and c is equal to negative 48. We're going to go to our factor cross. So we have 5 times a negative 48, because it's a times c. 5 times a negative 48 is negative 240. And then we have, what are the factors of a negative 240 that will add to be a positive 22? So we're automatically looking at negative 240, which tells us that the factors have to be a positive and a negative number. And the reason why we know that is because when we multiply them together, they're a negative. And we also know that we want the larger number to be a positive because when we add them together, we get a positive number. So let's go through some factors of 240. We have 2 and 120. We have 3 and 80. 4 and 60. 5 and 48. 6 and 40. 8 and 30. Okay, so now I'm looking at 8 and 30. And if I make my 8 negative and my 30 positive, that's going to give me a positive 22. So these are my factors. So I have negative 8 and positive 30. The second step in grouping, after we've figured out what our factors are, is to split the middle term into its two factors. So we are going to have 5p squared plus 30p minus 8p minus 48. And we know that we have to split it in half. We haven't changed the value of anything because positive 30p minus 8p still equals 22p. So we have not changed the value. The only thing that we have done is just split it apart so that we can factor by grouping. So we're looking for our greatest common factor of 5p squared plus 3p. So 5 can go into both 5 and 30. And then they both have a p, so we can factor out 1p. And that gives us 5p times p plus 6. So we're just taking 5p squared dividing by 5p. That gives us p. And then a positive 30p divided by 5p is a positive 6. So now we are going to continue on and look at our other side. So our other side is negative 8p, negative 48p. And we know that we want our binomial common factor to be p plus 6. So if I divide negative 8p by p, that's going to give me a negative 8. And if I divide negative 48 by positive 6, that'll give me a negative 8. So I believe this is going to work, but let's check it just to make sure we come up with the exact same numbers. So we have 5p times p plus 6 is equal to, just distributing that 5p in, we have 5p squared plus 30p. Is that what we started with? Yes, so that one's okay. And now we have a negative 8 times p plus 6. Well, if we distribute that, we get negative 8p minus 48. And is that what we started with? Yes, so that one's okay. So now we're looking at our common binomial factor, which is going to be p plus 6. And then what was on the outside, which is what we were multiplying by that common binomial factor. And that is going to be 5p minus 8. There we go. Now you can check this to make sure that you come back to the exact same trinomial that we started with. And the way that we would do that is exactly the way that we were doing yesterday. So p plus 6 times 5p minus 8. We have p plus 6 times 5p minus 8. Put it in our area model. P plus 6, 5p minus 8. So we're going to multiply 5p times p, which is 5p squared. 5p times a positive 6 is a positive 30p. P times a negative 8, negative 8p. And then negative 8 times a negative 6 is a negative 48. Bringing this out, we have 5p squared plus 30p minus 8p minus 48. Does this look familiar when we split it into our factors and started factoring by grouping? Yeah, it should. And so then we can simplify by combining like terms. And we have 5p squared plus 22p minus 48. Is that what we started with? Look back at your paper. Yeah, perfect. Great job, guys.